Jennifer, what is up?
Hi.
How are you tonight? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I was doing an intro just now for you, and of course, you're from Terrell, Texas. So, anytime we talk about Terrell, somehow the subject always gets on Bucky's, doesn't it?
Yes, I don't live in Terrell anymore, but when I did live there, it was a big moment when Bucky's went in, and I thought
Truly.
to myself, I will never use my home bathroom ever again. And I I guess we don't even care about Jamie Foxx anymore
No,
because
no,
we've got Bucky's.
that's right.
New claim to
So
fame.
that was my go-to when we were doing the intro tonight. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mention that Jamie Foxx is from there, and that's where Jennifer is from as well. You're not there anymore. Where are you living now?
Yeah, I'm still in Dallas.
Okay,
I just moved a little bit and I've always lived in the area. I grew up in Poetry,
right. I
which
know.
is not that far.
Yeah, a
And
friend of mine, songwriter Scott Sean White, is living in Poetry. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think we've met,
but yeah, I'm
but
familiar with Poetry, which is kind of funny because it is a really small place.
it is, and it's a town now.
Really, like actual town.
It's a real, they grew up, they became a real boy, and it's a real place.
Oh man, it's so. First of all, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I know it's really late, and I had a couple of shows already booked before we decided to do this new thing, this live broadcast. So I was like, man, I don't want to miss a week because we're trying to get some traction with this thing. And Jennifer, you really bailed us out tonight coming on so late, so I appreciate that.
Oh, that's okay. I don't, it's funny. I turned 40, and ever since then, my life has changed.
How so?
It's, it's like, can you do this at 11 o'clock? And I'm like, AM or PM? Because I don't do
I don't
AMs
either.
at
I
all,
don't either.
but I also don't do PM after 5. My window of existence has
Two to
become
five,
very
right?
small.
Two to
Yeah,
five.
2 to 5. That's my functioning window. It's like it's really
Yeah,
hard to live a rock star lifestyle when I want to be in bed at 8.
that's right. That's when the coffee kicks in and before it has stopped kicking in, right? At two to
I
five.
I
Oh
know. I was
man.
like, when did I become this person?
I feel that to
So
my
weird.
core. First, like big news, you took home an International Singer Songwriter Award this year. Congratulations on that.
I did. I was pretty excited about that. My claim to fame is I'm a multi-award losing artist. I've been doing this for so long and I've been nominated for tons of things, but the last couple of years I have finally made it. I have finally
She's
gathered
out here
a
breaking knees and no, I'm just kidding.
I know. I didn't even have to be threatening, which is
Yeah,
great because that's not who I am. I can passive aggressively
yeah.
insult someone, but they won't realize it until 3 years later.
Yeah. My crap talking game has you talk about over 40. Yeah, it's definitely declined beyond 40. Once my kids moved up and moved out, I feel like my crap talking game is over now. It's just like
Yeah, right now, the only skill I have is embarrassing my children.
yeah. And now
Because
now for me with the grandkids too. It's like, all right,
yeah,
cool, a
especially
whole
with
new
the
crop of
TikTok
skill.
dances with them in public. And they're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah,
That's weird.
please get off the TikTok app. Come on, stop doing stuff like that. And you, we were talking a little bit off air, and according to you, you have a big year coming up with new music. 2025 is going to be a huge year, huh?
I do. I do. Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I just had this release in November.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so only a couple weeks ago. I don't know how deep we are in December, but it's only been a few weeks and it's doing really well. And we're already working on a lineup for everything else throughout the year, and I think it's going to be really exciting and new.
And so that's how far in advance do you kind of strategize out for new releases usually?
I've got it all planned. I probably have the next year and a half planned right now.
Wow.
It, I'm, it's, I feel very calculated
Yeah.
in what I'm doing at the moment and how I'm doing it, and trying to think. Of course, I'm going to go back and assess how are things going, how are things being reviewed, and what is the projection of what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and the response that we think we'll get from it with the seasons and all. But I think that, because you have to do releases when they need to be done,
That's right.
but I think that I have a tentative plan. I think it's pretty well structured. I think it's going to go well. I think
And
we've got it all lined
and
out.
Jennifer is a true indie artist in every sense of the word. So you're doing mostly everything yourself, I'm sure, from marketing and business and promoting and writing and I mean I
Mhm.
know how that is. And one thing I wanted to ask you is one of your profiles on social media also says keeper of the Cheerios. So
I
you
get
you are also a mom, full time mom as well as all of this indie stuff. So how do you balance all of that stuff all together?
coffee and wine, a false sense of authority.
Right. A lot of a bartering system, I imagine.
Exactly. I have four daughters,
Wow.
and my oldest is a senior, and my youngest is 8. And I
Mm.
did the math, and I'm never going to be finished.
No, never.
So
Nope.
I did the math, and this wasn't as well strategized as I have my music.
Well, look at it this way. In 10 years, when your youngest is 18, at least you will be able to give the kids back when they visit at that point. I mean, in other
But
words, the grandkids come, and then when you're a little tired or whatever, okay, here you go, take it back.
here's the thing. All of my kids are really talented and really smart, and they all want to be artists and musicians. So I feel like we're still going to be here together.
Probably, yeah,
We're all
probably.
just going to be here.
And that's the opposite of a problem, right?
It's going to be fun. It's a beautiful house full of chaos and music. So
Hey,
it's
it
a
could
lot of
it could be worse, absolutely. So the reason why we're here tonight, the song is called "Do Over," and this is the one that you
fun.
were talking about that was just released in November. Man, I'm always excited to share new music with people. So when I saw your song come across my timeline, and I was like, I haven't talked to Jennifer in a while, and I think you and I met from doing the Truman Smith stuff in Gladewater. I think you did that show a couple of times, right?
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. But I was like, you know what? She's killing it, and she's got all these releases. And I kind of looked up your website to see what you were up to, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out, and I think this is perfect. The song's "Do Over." Tell us about the song. Kind of take us into the room as you're writing it and what the song means to you.
Yeah, so I am a really firm believer in writing about what I know, writing with passion and a sense of vulnerability.
Hmm.
And I think it's funny because I just had a conversation with someone the other day. It's like, I feel like as songwriters, we have to be very careful about what we write and how we write it, because there's this stigma where songwriters cannot be creative writers. We
Hmm.
can't be creative fiction writers. People assume that everything we write is going to be about us, even if it's not.
Hmm.
So I feel like the subject line kind of has to be careful, but I thought, you know what? Everything I write is going to be about me. So the last few songs that I've done, of course, have been about what I know, little tidbits, and this song definitely is. And my last release, She's Like the Tide, was very poetic. It was a very poetically written song, and a lot of metaphors thrown in, and really great lyrics. and it was about a mental, it was a very dark
Mm-hmm.
moment in my life, and it was about a mental struggle. It's just dealing with yourself and that inner fight.
Just quickly for
And
reference, we played that song as part of the intro earlier in this show. So
oh, okay.
that way, what you're talking about now, people can reference that song at the beginning. So
Yeah.
continue,
Yeah.
please.
And so when I wrote Do Over, it's probably a little bit easier to grasp, probably a little bit more relatable. It's about I was thinking about this time I went out with this guy, and I had wanted to kind of get to know him for quite a while. And we met up for a cup of coffee and just visited for a really long time. And as I was leaving, I think that when you've been hurt, or when you things just don't go well in relationships, you have a sense of guard that you
Mm-hmm.
put up, and you tend to not be vulnerable. You don't share, you don't make the first move, because that's a vulnerability. And when you do that, you're opening up the door for rejection and hurt. And I don't care for that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this moment at the end of the night where I had really just enjoyed it. We had spoken and talked for hours, and there was a moment where I'm like, I could be vulnerable right now. But then I thought, I think I'm just going to get in my car and go home instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got in my car, I left, and I'm driving home, and I'm like, God, Jen, why? You may never see this man again. You screwed up. Why? Just, I want to do over. And I was like, oh, that's a really good line.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home and I wrote the song, and I'm really excited about it. I like the way that it came out. So
Well, I love you because you're self-described as indie pop, and
mhm.
you're talking a lot about vulnerability in song tonight, and that's not typically something that and it's definitely a stigma or a stereotype, but that vulnerability is not something that pop music is typically known for. um, so I love to see that coming from you, because normally vulnerable and really content that resonates with people on a personal level is usually something you find in country music and folk and
Right.
in Americana, but you're bringing that to pop. Is there? Are you thinking about that, or are you just writing you? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to be very intentional, and I'm trying to do something unique. So the storyline, I think, is interesting. Um and I don't tell people the end of the story, because what I'm doing and how I'm doing it is each song is a continuation of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So each music video is going to be a continuation, and each song is a continuation. So if you want to know what happens, you just have to keep listening.
I love that.
And I think it's going to be really fun.
Episodic pop music. Let's go.
Yeah.
What a cool concept. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to play your song. Sound good to you?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, keep in touch with me, and when you have new releases, I'd love to have you back on so we can catch up and play the new stuff as it comes out. And have a great time with your four kids and your episodic story. And I can't wait to see the next episode for it.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. And